and happy holidays, and thank you so much for stopping by the Roed to Good Cooking and check out these boneless beef ribs. I tell you what, these things are absolutely incredible, and they have just the right amount of fat marbling, so when they do cook up, they're nice and tender, juicy, and delicious. And I'm going to be seasoning them with John Politte's Insane Steak and Chop Seasoning, and I tell you what, this is the best steak and chop seasoning I have had in a long time, and I will make sure to put his link in the description box below. Check it out. And I'm going to be making broccoli florets with my beef short ribs and some savory brown rice pilaf. Can't go wrong with this meal. I tell you, you really can't go wrong with this meal. This is a perfect fall meal. Now let's get started. I'm going to start off by seasoning my beef short ribs with John Politte's Insane Steak and Chop Seasoning, and I'm going to liberally sprinkle it on all sides of the beef short ribs. And you can't go wrong with this. I'm telling you, if you have to check out his other seasonings. He has a whole line of delicious seasonings, and I have tried quite a few of them, and this is by far my favorite one, the steak and chop. I put that stuff on everything, and it's great on steaks. Oh, it's absolutely great. All right, so I'm going to turn my beef short ribs over, and then season the sides. And you want to really liberally season these, and you can use your own seasoning, whatever your preference is. And I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on this side, and that'll help my seasoning stick. This is the side that's going in first into the pan. Pat it in real good. And then flip it over, and let's get the other side. Okay, you have the idea. Let's go on to the next step. Okay, now that all my beef short ribs are liberally seasoned, I'm going to sprinkle them with a light dusting of flour. Then pat it in real good. And this is going to help put a crust on my beef short ribs when I sear them. And flip them over and dust the other side with flour. To my Dutch oven pan, I added about 3 tablespoons of grapeseed oil, and I'm going to sear all of my short ribs in this grapeseed oil and just sit back and enjoy, because the rest of this is going to be self-explanatory. So just enjoy this nice, satisfying sizzle. My Dutch oven is super big, so I should be able to get all of my beef short ribs in one batch. I got all my beef short ribs in one batch, just like I knew I would, and I'm going to cook them a couple of minutes on each side just to get a nice little crust. All of my short ribs have been browned and they all have a nice little crust on it. And from here, I'm adding my diced onions and all those beautiful brown bits in the bottom of my pan here. That is nothing but pure flavor. So make sure you leave all that stuff in the bottom of the pan, and I'm going to scrape it up, and blend it in with the onions, and I'm going to let the onions saute, not till they just enough for them to get softened. And then from here I'm going to be adding the rest of the onions and some garlic. So the rest of this is self-explanatory, so sit back and watch me work. My short ribs are done, and after about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes in the oven, you can see how tender they are. And I removed them from the broth, laid them out on a platter, covered them with some foil. And I'm going to let them rest, and then I'm going to separate the solids from this natural, delicious beef broth. And this beef broth is going to make the perfect dipping sauce, or you can make gravy with it. But I'm not going to make it real thick like a gravy, because I want it to be a dipping sauce. So I'm going to continue separating all the solids out of there. And here is my natural broth. Now I'm going to scoop out the fat that's floating on the top here. I don't need that. I'm just going to scoop it out and discard it. And here I have 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of half and half cream. You can use regular full fat cream, or you can use part of the broth if you want. But I want it to have a nice creamy element to it, so I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of the half and half. Give it a quick whisk it all together. Make sure you get all the lumps out. I turn the burner back on, and now I'm adding my cornstarch cream mixture to it, and I'm going to let it cook just long enough for it to thicken up just slightly. I'll be able to tell by the bubbles how thick my broth is getting, and you'll see that here in just 1 second. And I have my Dutch oven pot over medium heat, and you got to give it a quick taste, see if I need to add anything. And I know I don't, because I've made this before and it is delicious. And see what I mean by you can tell by the thickness by looking at the bubbles? And this is just about where I want it. So I'm going to decrease my temperature to low simmer and just let it simmer while I'm putting everything else together. I'm going to add my short ribs back into my slightly thickened broth. And at this point, the burner is not on because the short ribs are already fully cooked. I don't need to cook them any further. I just want to keep my broth nice and warm, so I'm going to leave it on the burner, but the burner's not on. Does that make sense? That was a mouthful. And speaking of mouthful, my mouth is watering just looking at this. And then add all the accumulated juices back into that delicious broth. Make sure everything is nestled down in there to get a nice drench of this broth all over those short ribs. Look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? Oh, my goodness. You ought to smell my kitchen. It smelled absolutely wonderful. And here are the trays that I'm putting together for one of my senior friends. And she ordered 5 of these trays. So there's her 5 trays. And of course I kept out a plate for me. You know, I had to test it. Come on, I can't make all this goodness and not eat it. So I made myself a plate, and you'll see that in just 1 second. I have all my friends' trays in vacuum seal bags, and I'm going to seal them. So all she has to do is put them in the freezer and take one out when she's ready to eat, and they're good to go. They are good to go. And here they are, all sealed up, ready to go. And what I'm probably going to end up doing is putting them in the freezer, because I'll see her in a couple days. And here is my plate. Now, let me see if I could wrap my taste buds around this. The meat is just like I thought it would be. Nice and tender. Let me cut this little piece right here. Dipping it in the sauce. Of course, I dip my broccoli and everything in the sauce. This meal reminds me of, and it gives me that cook all day beef stew that my mom used to make. Paired nicely with this wine. You gotta have some tomatoes. You like my Christmas colors in my food? Tastes like rice pilaf. The rice pilaf is savory. I made it with brown rice. I sure wish you were here so you can sample this for yourself. It's really super good. And look at that meat. How juicy it still is. Dip it in that sauce. Oh yeah. I had one of my clients tell me when I made this years ago. She said her son says, this tastes just like grandma's. Now, you know when your cooking is compared to someone's grandmother, you must be doing something right. But give this recipe a try. It will not disappoint. Your family will absolutely love it. I got my boneless short ribs from my butcher because I have yet to see boneless short ribs that look this good and this tasty in the grocery store. They're a little pricey, but it was well worth it to me. Cheers to the beef short ribs. Okay, I'm done smacking in your ear. Thank you so much for coming by and spending a few minutes of your very busy time with me. I'm sure you all are busy with work and shopping and kids and dogs and whatever else you have to do. But thank you so much for stopping by. Be safe out there. Please stay safe. Keep your mask on. The shopping malls are going to be absolutely crazy ridiculous. So make sure that you are, keep social distancing. Try to stay away from people that you don't know, which is going to be everybody in the shopping center. But just, err on the side of caution. We're still in this thing and we have to be safe. And I want to see you all in 2022, and I want you all to see me in 2022. And I want us all to stay safe and healthy, going into this new year. And for all of you that have been following me for so many years, I truly, truly, truly appreciate all of your love and support and everything all the beautiful comments that you've gave me over the years, and I really, really appreciate it. And it makes me feel like I want to keep doing what I'm doing because you enjoy what I'm doing. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure you try this recipe out. Let me know how you like it. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Christmas holiday season, and I'll see you in the next video. Be blessed and keep on cooking.